seen an article the other day that made a good case, because I don't normally take much credence to some of these articles that continue to say that Texas may finally be back as far as national relevancy, as far as contending for national championships, not just in the Big 12, but on a national scope as well. This article made some good points, and I also thought of a few things myself that might lend us to believe that maybe Texas, maybe those Longhorns, will finally be back and contending for a national championship. Let's talk about it. The home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Well, here we go again, riding in with that outlaw posse once again. That's me, that's JPC, that stands for Jesse Paul Clark on Facebook, spelled J-E-S-S-C without the I. This is the OCF, that's the Outlaw of College Football, and I'm also on Twitter at OCF Productions. Now, getting right to it, so like I said in the lead up, I've been reading a few articles, and they make some good points that maybe this could be a make or break year for Texas as far as getting back to national relevancy. As you know, last year, Texas had a few bright spots in their season. They improved a lot from their 5-7 debacle in Steve Sarkisian's first year to actually, I think, what they win, like 8 or 9 games last year. I can't got that in front of me, but I do know they went to a bowl game, and Quinn Ewers, he was hit or miss. He done decent. In the Alabama game before he got injured, he seemed like he was probably going to have a pretty good game. They may have even won that game against Alabama had Quinn Ewers not gotten hurt, but we'll just never know, now will we? And then they got Arch Manning coming in too this year, who can push him a little bit. But what I think really sets up nicely for Texas this year is that some of the big games and some of the bigger rivals are either in a transition year or they've lost a lot of talent that makes it to where maybe Texas can actually get on somewhat of a nice little run and maybe even make a push for not only the Big 12 title, but maybe a spot in the playoffs, which will be the last year of the 4-team playoff, if they can just get past Alabama that second week and their arch rival, who they handedly beat last year in Oklahoma, 49-0. Those are the two games that really pop out at me at first. The Alabama game is really early in the season, which may benefit Texas. Now, normally I wouldn't say that because Nick Saban is pretty good in early season non-conference games. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, he's probably something like 9-0 or 10-0 or maybe 10-1 or something like that. But they got him in Tuscaloosa. They have to come to Tuscaloosa, so it may be a pitfall for them early on. But as you know, Alabama will be breaking in a new quarterback, and Jalen Milroe and his short stint at coming in and backing up Bryce Young didn't look like he was up to the task, in my opinion. So there's another guy by the name of Ty Simpson, who's a pretty good passer as well, that might end up being the starter for Alabama. Pretty early season test for an unproven quarterback situation. So Texas, who almost beat Alabama last year with a proven quarterback, might actually be able to pull the upset in Tuscaloosa. Now, if that happens, that could kickstart something to not only make it to where Texas can contend for a conference championship, but as I said before, a national championship. Because at that point, I think the biggest stumbling block will be for them will be Oklahoma, as Oklahoma seems like they're ascending with 2 back-to-back top 10 classes, and one of those being actually a top 5 class. Brent Venables got his first year jitters out of the way, got his transition year out of the way, sort of like Sarkisian did. Texas, as you know, blew them out 49-0 last year. So this is a game that a lot of people are thinking, Brent Venables is, sort of still getting his program set. They're probably going to be improved this year, probably win 8 or 9 games. But are they actually ready to beat Texas, who is also ascending? That's going to be a hard game. It's going to be a lot harder than most people think. A lot of Texas people were probably misled by the 49-0 score last year. But, of course, as you know, Oklahoma had some issues as the quarterback was injured and whatnot, among a bevy of other things that were going on in that program. So to me, I know it's sort of Captain Obvious with the two blue blood names on there, considering Kansas State and Oklahoma State and TCU have been boogaboos for Texas as well, especially TCU and Oklahoma State to some degree. I think that those programs had their shining moment. TCU had their little shining moment last year. I think they're going to fall back to reality somewhat this year, and it's going to be a shock to some of the TCU fans, to me, as to how far they will fall. I don't think TCU will fall out of being a bowl team, but I don't think they're going to contend for national championship playoff. So I think if Texas can take advantage of the Alabama quarterback situation early on, and then they don't fall into a false sense of security in how they handled Oklahoma last year and take that game a little more seriously than what I'm seeing from some Texas fans. Now, not all of them. There's a lot of Texas fans out there that know better. That last year's score don't mean nothing, especially with all the injuries that Oklahoma had going into that game. But if they get past those two games, I really think that Sarkisian can finally pay off for Texas. You know, Sarkisian come from, he was the head coach at Washington, done moderately well there, well enough that USC stole him away. Then, as you know, he had the personal issues with alcoholism and whatnot, went to the Saban car wash, and now he's at Texas. Had a pretty bad year the first year, but this year it seems like he's trending upward. Quinn Ewers will have another year under his belt. Arch Manning will be there. He could possibly push Quinn Ewers if he starts struggling. So it very well could be the year that the Texas Longhorns finally live up to expectations and finally make those rich boosters feel like that they're not putting their money on something that's not paying off. And that's the main issue. The boosters, while you need them to support your program, you need the money. Give them a few perks, give them great seats, give them a nice little air-conditioned suite or something. But the problem with them interfering in the program is going to have to stop. If they can let Sarkisian run his course this year and do his thing, then they may be surprised in the fact that they will finally get their payoff. You guys and gals, tell me what you think about all this. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Also, there's a heart down here. If you don't mind, hit that. Throw a few dollars in the coffers. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.